Okay, so thanks for sticking with me and making it through the first video where we set up our GameFrame project ready to go. So now it's time to actually start to get into some of the code. So the first thing that we're going to do is actually change some of our global variables. So to do that, once you're in your project file, we need to come down to the globals.py file that's inside our GameFrame folder. Okay, so we're going to double click on that one to open it. Now in here, this is where we're going to be able to set some of our variables so that we're ready to go, and these will be used throughout our game. So let's talk through what some of these do. We've got our screen width and our screen height. Now this is going to tell GameFrame, or specifically the Python interpreter, how big to make the game screen. From there, we also have a score variable, which is currently set to 0. We want that to stick the same, okay, because obviously each time we start our game, we want the player to start with a score of 0. Now, also in our game for Joe's Escape, there's no points, so there's no reason for us to change that at all. Okay, next thing along is the number of lives. Okay, currently this is set to 3. We're going to leave it like that because it should be enough lives for our player to get through the game. And what we're going to do here is actually start by changing our window name. Now this is where we can get a super important lesson. So our game is called Joe's Escape. Okay, and we need to start with a quotation mark and finish with a quotation mark. Okay, sorry, inverted comma. Now this is where things get a little bit interesting, and the first thing you need to be mindful of. So because our game's name has an apostrophe in it, that means that these inverted commas sort of act a little bit differently. You can see here that the first 3 letters Joe are in green, so that's actually what the window name is, and the escape isn't going to be on there. So what we need to do is we need to come into here and modify those so that we have quotation marks, or the double inverted commas there. And the reason for that is to make sure that this little apostrophe that's in the middle there gets treated like it is a apostrophe rather than the end of the string. The other thing that we need to do is we need to change our level so that it is called platform, because it's a platformer game, and because there's only one level, we can delete the rest of them that are in there by default. And then you can see here that starting level is 0, which is good. Ending level is also going to be 0, which is the first level that we have in our game. Now from here, we're going to do a couple of little things, okay? We are going to start to create that platform room, okay, which happens in our rooms folder. So the quickest and easiest way for us to be able to add something to our rooms folder is if we right click on the rooms folder itself, we can then go to new and then select Python file, and from there we can type in platform. Okay, so this is the easy stuff right now. And in here what we need to do is we need to import some stuff, because this is a level. We need to get the levels class or level file out of GameFrame. 3. Alright, so that little section that we need to type in is we need to go from GameFrame, import level. Okay, now you can see that there's a whole heap of little type hints that popped up there. Okay, and I'm going to show you the quickest and easiest way to be able to do some of this coding. So if we type in from, and then I start to type in GameFrame, you can see that that appears there. If I press enter, that fills it in for me. Import level. Okay, now this is awesome because it saves us time. It means we don't have to do that typing, but it also means that we don't make mistakes. Okay, because it's going and finding this information from here, okay, and it's filling that in for us. It means that the case sensitive nature of GameFrame written here in our folder isn't going to be a problem. Okay, so we don't need to worry about that. And then from there, we create our class. Our class is going to be called platform. We do need to type that in, but you can see that as soon as I type the L in, it allows me to press enter on level. Okay, so that's great. Then we can define our init file. Now, just be mindful that there are 2 underscores in init. And then we just need to come back in here and set some of the properties. So we're going to set the properties of screen and joysticks. Okay, so these are 2 things that GameFrame is looking for. And then from there, we just add the last little bit where we level dot, and then we have our init file. Oops, not two i's, two underscores. And again, it's going to have screen joysticks. Joysticks, that's the one. Okay. And the last thing we need to do so that we can actually test to see that our game is working is we are going to jump into our init file that's inside of our rooms, and we're going to say from rooms dot platform import, so yeah, grab that automatically, import platform. Okay, so if I was to test my game here, so I can right click on that and say run, or I can click on this and go run, or now that we've already run this once, okay, we can come up here and press the play button. Okay, so it remembers what it was that we did last time. So that runs a little thing, and it says that we have an error in our platform. And that's because we forgot to put in self here. So we're going to press play on that one there, and what we get on our second screen, if I bring that across, is a black screen. Not too interesting, but that's because we haven't set any of the settings yet. So we're going to jump down a little bit further, and we're going to set our background image. Okay, so I'm just going to put a quick comment in here, set background image. Okay, and that, to do it, is just going to be self.set background image. So again, that happened really quickly, so I might go back and do that again. So self, again, I could press enter here, but I'm going to press the F key. Press the period so that it brings in the options that are inside of self, and then from there I can say set, and you can see here that there's a method that is set underscore background underscore image. Now if I press enter, that brings all of that across for me, which again means I can't make any typing mistakes, and that was the thing that I did really quickly just then. Now I need to say what the image file is. You can see that in the little tooltip type tip that it's bringing up there. So I'm just going to put in a double quotation there, wood underscore background dot jpg. Now actually what I might do quickly is just make sure I'm using the correct file type. So I'm going to jump into images and find wood background.jpg. Perfect. So that is the file that we are looking for. Now the really good thing here is that if I go now and test my game, I should be able to see if my background loaded. Okay, so when my screen opens, it opens up with the wooden background, which is awesome. So I know that that code worked. Now the next little bit of stuff that we're going to add in this video, just because this one's a little bit shorter, is we are going to add our edge tiles. Okay, now this is really important because it allows us to add this in now, and then the next video can be a little bit shorter where we build our maze. Okay, because that one there's going to be a little bit of teaching in there to talk about how our 2D array, which is a concept I'll explain then, and our nested loop work. But in this particular video, we are going to have our set edge tiles, little comment in there, and the way in which we're going to do that is we're going to set up some variables. So we're going to say img underscore grnd underscore flat, so the flat ground equals self dot load image, and the image that we're going to load is grass underscore tile underscore flat dot png. So we should be able to find that over here, grass underscore tile underscore flat dot png, and then we can add the rest of them there as well. So image underscore grnd underscore left equals self dot load image, and then we need grass underscore tile, the capital underscore, and then we need corner underscore edge underscore L for left, and then img underscore grnd underscore right, self dot load image grass underscore tile underscore corner underscore edge underscore R, okay, for our right one. And the last one that we need is what happens underneath. So obviously there's no grass on the top, but we're going to call it grnd underscore under, and then self dot load underscore image grass underscore tile underscore, and this one's called tile underscore lower dot png. Okay, so what we're doing here is we are calling a function called load image, which comes from the GameFrame package. So what it knows to do is to go and find, especially for load images, that it needs to go and find something in the images folder called this thing. So if we were to look for grass tile flat.png, we can find grass tile flat.png, and if we were to open it, that is actually what it looks like. The same for our corners. So our left corner is this file here, so we can see that it's on the left hand corner, so it might sit up the top up there. Okay, and then we've got our right corner, so it might sit up in the top right hand corner up here, and then we've got our lower one, okay, which is our under one. So you can see that it's just dirt. Okay, so that's what we are doing here in our first little section of code. All right, now this stuff here we don't actually use. So if we press the play button now, you can see that we still just have our plain wood background. And we know that they're not used because the text for our variable name is still grayed out. That's okay for now. In the next video, we're going to start to use these things here when we build our maze, okay, out of text in our 2D array, which is inside, which has then used a nested loop so that we're able to get our images to appear the way we want them. So hopefully that all makes sense for now, that we are calling our background image, that we are setting up some stuff ready for the next video, and we are calling our file ready to go in our init function. So I'll see you in video number 3 where we build our maze, and then I talk you through what a 2D array is, what a nested loop is, and show you how that's going to work in our room object.